How about you? Monday night in the city. This is it. Dialogue with Dozie. Your boy's back. Hey, KV's not with me tonight, but wow, do I have a guest for you all tonight. I got something for y'all tonight. I want to say it East Side style, but I'm not going to talk like that. My mama wouldn't allow that. Welcome back to the Dialogue, Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Facebook, YouTube Live. We love you. We're so glad that you join us on this night for the Dialogue. Let me do this. Let's do this. We want to start tonight's show. We want to dedicate tonight's show to somebody really, really special. And that's her. Her name is Deidre McDowell. We dedicate tonight's show to Miss Deidre. Deidre was not supposed to make it. She was born weighing 4 pounds and just some ounces. And boy, did she defy the odds. She lived to be 52 years old. A couple Tuesdays ago, received the news that she had transitioned and gone on to glory, and left behind this place. And we celebrated her life on this Saturday. And the things that you heard about her were the things that it take you 2 seconds. It would take you 2 seconds to know she was a fighter. She loved passionately. She was a strong person of her faith. Let me just say it like this. She was a strong Christian lady. She was my son's teacher. She taught at Mount Bethel Christian Academy. And the bishop would say to you that she was, two of her most proudest moments were when she was, after she graduated from that school in Tallahassee, FAMU. Can't talk about my son finished there. She graduated from FAMU, and upon graduation, she became a teacher at Mount Bethel Christian Academy. That was one of the most appreciated moments of her life. And then when she bought her first house, she also was happy about that. Deidre was a teacher. She was my son's teacher. He and I were reflecting Saturday. He said, "Yeah, Dad, she have you go to that board, and you better have your stuff together because she gonna crack on you. She gonna let you have it." She wasn't big, but boy, was she big in spirit. She was a singer. She loves to sing in the church choirs. They cut an album, a CD, just as we were relocating to South Florida. And she had some medical issues. And while on one of the tours, which I was privy to this, the bishop related that he was leaving one city and her mother was leaving Fort Lauderdale, and they coordinated to meet at the airport in Baltimore where she was sick. And walking into the hospital, their heads they didn't know what to expect. And when they walked in there, she was in there laughing and smiling. And he said it was similar to another incident when she was sick at Jackson Hospital, and he walked in and she said, "Man, this doctor really, really likes me." And Deidre is just that kind of person. She was so full of humor. She was her spirit was big as life. You could not be around her and not be happy. A fighter, a dedicated soul, a singer, a servant, a child of God, a daughter, a sister, a sister-in-law, a friend to many, just a great young lady, an educator. Deidre, we bid you, we'll see you on the other side, sister. We sure love you and thank God for sending you our way. We love you and God bless you. Bless the McDowell family. We dedicate tonight's show to Miss Deidre McDowell. So I was out last week. We decided it was Memorial Day, and the young man that was going to be with us, the Navy SEAL, he had some family issues, his family's illnesses, and we're praying with him because he's dealing with that. He's dealing with that now, but he'll be on at some point. So we did a rerun of the show where I was on the Golden Square podcast and talked about my journey with prostate cancer. I'm so glad to Linda Scott and Carolyn and that group for bringing me on, and our Madam Producer and the Go Giga team for bringing me on and bringing that show back on. Hopefully it touched and saved the lives of many. But tonight's show. Listen, all I got to do is say, go play big. I hope I got it right. Coach Curtis Dean is in the hizzy tonight. He's going to come and he's going to share. We booked the show talking about, are you where you want it to be at the midway point in the year? We're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff. Coach Curtis Dean, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I can. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Hey, I'm doing great. I'm happy to be back Anytime I get to be on the show, it's always a joy. It's always a joy to interact. I like our pre-meetings as much as I do the broadcast itself, because we always have such a good time and talking and getting back to know each other again, and it's wonderful. It's good to be back. I'm happy to be here.
But Coach, we're just so glad that you always have a great spirit about being with us, and I can't tell you how much that is appreciated. We know we're going to call, and this here's the thing that I think people need to know, that when you get someone of his caliber that will agree to join you as he does, and he spits, I mean, he brings that fire, y'all. Shout out to the Go Giga team for those sound effects. That clapping, that's what they do, y'all. That's just what they do. But just so you know, Coach Curtis and them they bring that fire. And Madam Producer, let's see. Are we shared on my page? I'm not sure it's shared on my Facebook page. If you could, please. But Coach Curtis and company, that's what they do. That's what he does. His lovely wife, maybe she'll join us tonight. Coach Curtis has a humor. He has a passion for life. He has a passion for people. Tonight we're going to talk about life coaching and advice giving and all that, because he is great at it. Just absolutely great. Coach, just say hello to us. I know you spoke once, but just give us an update on what's going on with you, sir.
Well, I want to start off by telling you, and I don't remember if we discussed this before on the show or not. One thing that really is exciting for me, I'm on the backside of 60 now, right? 60, I'll be 62 years old in 2 days. 2 days?
Oh, wow.
Thursday. Yeah, be my birthday. But here's the thing. In 1989, I lost my dad, and he was 60 years old. Back around, I think, 2014 or so, I lost my brother, and he was 60 years old. A couple of years after that, I lost my next brother, and he was 60 years old. So for me, getting past 60 and still living the life I live, doing the things I do, being able to just be all that I can be, I sound like an Army commercial, but being all I can be, it's amazing to me. It's amazing that, my siblings and my dad didn't make it past 60. And here I am. I'm going to be 62 years old in just a little while. And one thing about that is, for a long time, I used to tell my wife all the time, I'd say, hey, I'm going to be 60 in 10 years or 5 years or this, that, and the other. Enjoy me while you can, because that Dean family curse. But, I quit saying that foolishness, because, your mind and your body doesn't know when you're being silly or when you're being for real. Right. And so I quit saying all that foolishness. And I kept saying the second half, when I get past that 60, is going to be even better than the first half was. And let me tell you, the first half was damn good. But this next few years, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, however many it might be, it's going to be unreal. It's going to be amazing. That's what it's going to be. So on the backside of 60, and we're kicking it every day.
Oh, Coach, you're awesome. There's a scripture that says, your latter shall be greater than your past. And that is so true. And when we believe that, and then there's another spiritual principle, actually scriptural, speak life, speak those good things, things that you really want to see come to pass. And so when you speak these things, the power of life and death is in the tongue. I sound like I'm preaching tonight, but I am a preacher. So the power of life and death is in the tongue. So we speak these things. And I want to tell you something. I've been in the 60s for a little minute. It ain't a place to be. It ain't a bad place to be. You all see Coach. You all see him on his social media pages, and he's always, he and his lovely wife, they just load you up with humor, and you see the joy of their relationship. And that's what when you see a life coach, that's why you go to someone like him, because they're not just talking. That's what he lives, and that's who he is. What's the day going on like in Duval today, Coach?
Well, Duval's a special animal. Up here in the 904. Well, up here in the 904, it is a special animal. But, in the last few years transitioning in my job, I've had the same job for 10 years. in that I work for the same company, but I've had several different positions in this job. And this new one I have, working in human resources, really getting to work with people, which is my passion, getting to help people. I'm loving it, And so every day here we're learning something new. In Duval, it's as crazy as anywhere else. You just pick out the good and you leave the bad, and you just keep on going.
Well, you guys have that. You're coming up with that. How much is that stadium? Is it $2 billion?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Yeah, yeah. But I tell you what, it is so needed though, because if you've never been there to a Sunday afternoon game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in September, and you're just boiling,
Oh,
and a bottle of water is $6-8, a beer is $12-15, and you either have to spend your week's paycheck to not die of dehydration, or you're just going to sit there and melt. So getting a new stadium with a little bit of a dome roof or whatever they're going to do to take some of that off will be huge.
oh, wow. Well, Coach, I am just so happy for what's going on in my hometown. And of course, when all the good stuff happens, I'm the first in line. That's my hometown, y'all.
There you go.
Then when you hear a little something that ain't so good, you say, "That's Duval, man."
Yeah.
No, I don't sell out on it like that. I would never do that. I would never. Coach, tell us a little bit about your work as a life coach, and what got you there. We're sitting in predicate to talk about tonight's topic.
Yeah, well, tonight, what got me here was even from being a child. I was always that person that everybody told their trouble to. They always came to talk to me, and I'm telling you, when I was 10 years old, I was giving adults advice, which is crazy when you think about it now, but it really was. I really was. But for a long time, all I had was what I call platitudes. Get in there and do it for the Gipper. You can do better next time. It'll be okay. And finally, it's been 2019, I believe, maybe 2018. I decided I wanted to do it and really have something to give people, right? Really have something to tell them and help them. And so I signed up with what's called the Health Coach Institute. They have health coaching and life coaching. So you can't tell it from the way I look now, but I'm also a certified health coach, but I'm a certified life coach. And I took the life coaching part was the biggest thing for me. And I went to one of their like a pep rally seminar kind of thing. And the very first day when we opened the book, what it said was, what do you want to do? How can you play big in your life? And that just spoke to me like that. I was like, wow, that's what I want people to do. I want them to learn how to play big. I want them to learn how to leave behind all those excuses and all the why I can'ts and pick up all the why I cans, right? And be excited about something that maybe you've never done before. Maybe you've always wanted to do, and start playing big in your life. And ever since then, it's been great. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people. It's a 12-week process we go through from the time we start talking till the end. Some people sign up for more than the 12 weeks, but usually that 12 weeks can get them from where they were to a lot closer to where they want to be.
Coach, we're so glad about those 12 weeks and the subsequent years and months and hours and days that have followed, and what you're doing. And I'm amazed by you saying that at 10 years old, you're giving the advice to adults. There are young people that you can look at and you say they're an anomaly. There's something different about them. They actually, over what we grew up, they would call them old souls. So they look like they've been here before. And they just have a personality. They take liberties. They speak. And sometimes you say, well, wait, when you and I grew up, it was a different era. Now you do and say as you please, pretty much. But you would say, well, gosh, where does she get that wit from? And you see, I'm just going to say it, God grows them into the destiny that he has, as he has for you as a life coach. Approximately, how many people have you had the opportunity to share to help improve their lives?
Actually signing up for the course and going all the way through, there's probably been over 100. We've done over 100, but I'm going to help somebody whether they have the money or whether they don't have the money, right? I'm going to help somebody whether they sign up for the class or whether we're just talking on the phone. That's just the way I do. So, I feel like, and I hope I've helped literally, thousands, I think, and even other coaches. As coaches, we have to work together with each other. I've coached other coaches, and other coaches have coached me to get us to be better at what we're doing. But it's just a lot of times it's finding out what your why is, why you're wanting to do what you're doing, right? Whether it's you want to lose weight, or whether it's you want to have a better marriage, or whether you want to have a new job, career coaching, all those kind of things. When you find that out, a lot of times people have an idea of what they think it is, right? They say, oh, I want to lose weight. Well, why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to be healthy. Well, why do you want to be healthier? And I know that sounds like a goofy question, but you say, why do you want to be healthier? And then they say, well, I want to be healthier because, I want to, live a long time and be with my husband. Well, why would you want to live long? Well, because, our marriage hasn't been that great. We want to, and it just starts snowballing one after the other. One question leads to the next question. And from what you started at point A to where you get to at maybe RSTQ, whatever, when you get to that point, what you actually thought you wanted to lose weight for is a whole different reason, right? And so then we take that and we begin to figure out how to get you there. How do we get you where you want to be when the things that you're wanting to do, because you've always wanted to do it, right? What we say about being a coach is that, because the difference between knowing and doing is a million miles.
Wow. So what kind of if I was if a person was looking for some guidance, what would set you apart, if it would set you apart from going to you as a life coach or going to a counseling service?
There's a couple different reasons, and it's like I say it's like therapy. Okay, life coaches don't do therapy. Okay, you and I are not going to talk, and then I'm going to decide to tell you that your daddy didn't hug you enough when you were little, right? That's not what life coaching is about. That's what actual therapy is about, for you to dig through all those feelings and find out maybe why you are the way you are, how you got to be to the place you are. Coaching is different. Life coaching is different. Life coaching is giving you tools to do the things that you've always wanted to do, right? We all want to be healthy, but we eat garbage, right? We all want to be healthy, but we sit on the couch all day. So what am I going to do as a life coach to get you off that couch? Or what am I going to do as a life coach if you want to do a career change? Why do you want to do a career change? How am I going to get you through that career change? Great. How many applications have you filled out? Well, I haven't filled out any. Well, you're not ever going to change careers if you don't start looking for a job, right? So it all depends on what you're looking for. So therapy is much more internal as to the why you're doing it. Life coaching is how to get you to do that you want to do.
Okay. I'm having a few technical issues. I want to see this program shared on my page, and I'm not able to do that right now. Coach, okay. I'm glad you gave us that distinction. That's the distinction for me. But the other thing I heard you say was this issue of life coaching, actually coaching other coaches.
Sure.
That's a camaraderie. In ministry, we minister to others. I spoke to my seminary best buddy. I spoke to him today and sought prayer with him. A lot of things are going on, and I sought out his prayers today. So I'm sure it's the same thing. Can you speak to people who exist in pain or anxiety because they don't seek assistance that's right there for them? I heard you say you're going to help them regardless.
Right. Because obviously this is a career choice. So you do it to make money, right? I mean, we charge a fee just like a therapist does, or a doctor does, or a mechanic does, or whatever. But we also, if there's someone who has a genuine need and they can't pay, we can figure something out. When I don't have a website anymore, but when I had my website, The young lady who did my website, she needed job coaching. Not job coaching, but career coaching, how to get her business off the ground. So we traded that out, right? I helped her get her career going, and she helped me with my website. So there's a lot of different things you can do. If it came right down to you just don't have it, but I know you need it, you're going to get it. That's if you're not in this for the right reason, right? But you also have to, you have to be a good steward. You have to do the right thing as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes plenty of sense. And for everybody that aspires to not only do the kind of work that the coach is talking about, hear what he's saying. Be available to be an assistant to help someone, but at the same time have guardrails and barriers, not barriers, have borders.
Right.
Have borders to know that we have to invest in ourselves, and investing ourselves means that if you're investing into coach's services, if he's investing into your life, then what he's asking you to give him only makes him better for the next person, because it allows him to do more training, more collaborating, and so forth. I know Coach was a part of our network here, and I was sharing with him the other day how much I absolutely loved looking at his program. I remember I was in Jacksonville one time, just about to leave town, and Madam Producer contacted me to say, hop on Coach Curtis's show right away. And I popped in there, and man, you and wife y'all were just spitting out stuff. And I said, man, I don't need to be driving. I need to be trying to write this stuff down, because this is great. And so I just want to say we salute you and applaud you for what you do, Coach. We really appreciate it. Now, I know people sign on to know about are they where they want to be the second half of the year. What can I do to get there? And we're going to talk about that. We're just going to kind of save that for the second half of the break. Coach, what current event, and this is not that kind of show, but what current event right now triggers the most, how do I say this? What event that we all can relate to, this globally, this nationally, that's statewide or locally, that's precipitating most of the advice, most of your clientele coming to you right now?
Well, it's kind of multi-layered, because there's so much going on in the world. The war in Ukraine, the war in the Israeli conflict with Palestine or Gaza. I can't speak to that one intelligently. I don't know much about it, but and our own political climate. Our two parties, the Democrats and Republicans fighting each other, because we've gotten to the point where I'm going to do what I'm going to do what I want to do and believe what I want to believe, no matter what happens. Wow. And that's just craziness, right? And it doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat supporter or if you're a Republican supporter, because they all do enough foolishness and enough craziness to keep us all occupied, right? And it's just like, I've literally heard people say these things. I don't care what this person does, I'm not changing my mind. That's foolishness, and it's got so many people anxious. It's got so much anxiety going on. We had it, coming through the pandemic and going through all we went through with that, to be here where we're at now. And there's just so much people just being anxious because nobody knows what's going to happen next, and you've got to be able to take control of your mind. You've got to be able to take control of your faculties, and you've got to be able to take control of your emotions and look at things in a certain way. Look at things logically. Look at things regardless, again, of what political leanings you have, and figure out what you're going to do.
So Coach, that kind of brings me, I think a key thing that you just said is people are going to do what they want to do. And I think politically that we may not have lived through that kind of a mentality in years past. I'm a part of this party, I'm a part of that party, and that's how I'm going to vote. But if we saw somebody that was just overtly crazed out or crazy, you say, man, I can't support her. Or if you saw somebody in the other party that was just superb, you say, hey, man, I'm crossing the lines because I'm going to vote for him because this boy is bad, And I think you just put your hand on it. We are at that point now where we have decided I'm going to do what I want to do, and there's nothing he or she can do that's going to faze me, that's going to surprise me, that's going to shock me. Did you ever think we'd ever get to a season like that in life?
I really didn't. You know, I remember it's been several elections back. I can't remember who the gentleman was now, but he was doing a speech after one of the primary wins, and he got really loud and vocal and was basically just screaming into the microphone. He was so excited. And the next day, his campaign was done. It was over, you know. And I cannot think of me for the life of me who it was now. But because it was almost like he looked unhinged. So people were like, "That's not what we want. We're not doing that," you know. And he was, I think, a viable candidate, but that was one misstep for him, right? And I think people largely overreacted to it. I get that. But now you're on the other side of the spectrum where, again, regardless of which party you hold, they each say enough stupid things and crazy things that you kind of look and go, oh my goodness, yes, somebody said it was Howard. That is correct. It was Howard. That's who it was. And the people do enough now that, you know, in either direction, you could go, I don't know about that. But, and the other part that frightens me is that we are, and there's no polite way to say this, we are having our country governed by two old white men still. We're the most diverse, one of the most diverse countries in the world, and we have some of the biggest brains, and we're still being led around by our noses by two old white men. And I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Wow. Hey, thanks, Matt. This is Coach Curtis Dean. We're coming right back after the break. He's bringing that fire. He always does. Yeah, you got it. Go Get Your Creations, man. They will make you look great. You see the production, you see everything that they do across their network. They got you. All you got to do is hit their email, contact them, let them hook you up. The pandemic is over, but you still have virtual needs. Virtual has just kind of become a thing of our day, and they got you. They got your website building. They got all of that stuff. You saw the names that they work. You see the quality of this and other productions. MogoGigaCreations.com. Get with them right now. Oh boy. So here we go. Tonight is the Are You Serious? So the orange wannabe dictator was convicted last Thursday. Surprising to lots of us, but he was convicted in a court of law. Convicted in a court of law. But the commentary coming from the Orange Stooges has been something to the effect of it's a rigged system, it's this, it's that. Let's look at some of these and what they're saying. Who are these two clowns? Who is that? Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. They're two guys who just 7 years ago, the Orange Man himself talked about the size of one of their hands and made all kind of equations to that size thing. And the other guy, he said that his dad had killed the ex-president and later talked about his wife. I still remember her name, Heidi, because I saw the guy to your right on the screen complaining, Donald, you can go real far. You can complain about a lot of things, but don't you mess with my Heidi. It only took a matter of months before he was down bowing to the Orange Range. Ted Cruz, are you serious? Are you man or mouse? You are supposed to be a Supreme Court scholar. We've been hearing what you said about this conviction, but are you serious? You have joined along with a whole list of cronies who can't make up in your mind if you want to be a man or mouse, if you want to stand tall and stand on a principle or conviction, or if you want to go with the flow for the most unlikeliest of person in all of creation. We got you, little Mario, Mario Rubio. Embarrassment to our great state of Florida. Well, a lot of people in this state, Tallahassee wise, are embarrassing us these days. He just flat out belittled you. He just lowered the bound on you. Are you serious? And you are standing up now, standing up and saying that there's something wrong with our justice system? Cruz and Rubio, Cruz, who was a Solicitor General for the Supreme Court, a supposed Supreme Court scholar, and Marco Rubio, a lawyer himself, and you're saying, let's just suppose that it was, Barack Obama who was convicted. What would you be saying then? Would you be saying that it's the opposite party's judicial system rigged against you? Or is everything rigged when you're on the downside of a decision? Are you serious? You guys supposed to be standing up for the rule of law. You're helping to tear it down as jurist yourself. Come on, take a stand. Be a man. But if it's not enough, the Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson himself, that's a good look to have on your face. Are you serious? You got to be kidding me. You stood as one of the three clowns that wore a red tie at the trial. You one of the first persons to come out and say, we're going to overturn this with a conviction. Rah, 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 rah. We're going to make this better. Are you serious? Would you please take a stand? What happened to the party that you guys represent? Used to be a party that people thought was a party of law and justice. Now you guys have brought it down because of one little orange person. Are you serious? Madam Producer, I'm through. I can't do this no more. Let me get back to something good. We got Coach Curtis. We don't want to take his time with this. Mackie, you got a question for Coach? Speak it up. So, Coach, here we are at the midway point. Today is June the 3rd, the midway point of a new year. And you and Shalonda was on, Sister Shalonda Johnson, at the beginning of the year to share with us about preparing ourselves for the new year. And I know both of you all said it's not about goals, but you had another way of categorizing
it. It's true. It's not, it's not all goal driven anymore, right? We have to, and it's all semantics. You can call it goals if you want to. A lot of people have a certain word they want to live for the year, whether, manifesting different things. But what it comes down to me is letting go of what no longer serves you, right? Why are you holding on to things that no longer serve you? Let that mess go. Let it go. Don't be holding on to things that are of no value to you. And I'm not just talking about physical things. I'm talking about that boy or that girl that ain't no good for you, and you still running around after them acting a fool, and they're bringing you down. They're bringing your children down. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't keep that addiction. And what my addiction might be, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be TV, it could be a number of different things. But if it's not serving you anymore, let it go. Get rid of it. Only hang on to the things that are putting you in the place that you want to be.
How hard is that? How hard is that?
Do what now? I'm sorry.
How hard is that? In the spiritual community, we would call it deliverance, being delivered from something that has a stronghold on you. How hard is it to let those non-productive things go out of our lives?
It's entirely up to you, because it all depends on how bad you want it, right? It depends on how bad you want that thing. It depends on how bad you want to lose that weight. It depends on how bad you want to be healthier. It depends on how much you want to get that cancer out of your life. And I'm talking about a virtual cancer, not a real cancer. But it depends on, it's your rock bottom, right? It's when you've hit that place where you're like, I'm done with this. I'm tired of feeling this way every morning. Tired of waking up every morning and feeling maybe like a failure, or feeling like I'm not doing enough. So what am I going to do? I've got to learn. I've got to figure out how to let that go. And that's what we help you with in life coaching, is how to let that go, how to get to that point where you can step away from it and let it go.
So, by the way, Coach, give me a break with the weight analogies. Give me a break on that. I probably.
Why do you think I'm only from here up?
um, I asked that question, and I had an idea, but I wanted to hear your perspective, and I appreciate what I heard. When things could become a cancer, in relationships, I'm just kind of going back. So we're celebrating my 50th anniversary, 50th reunion, class reunion, and when you're growing up, all the relationships and all of that stuff, the romantic relationship, the non-romantic, just all of those things, kind of play into effect. And you go back and reminisce, and you say, wow, I remember when I went through this. I remember when I like that. They like that, all of that kinds of stuff. But
right.
You're talking about making, what does it take? Because so many people hit rock bottom, like I was a narcotics agent. So many people hit rock bottom, and it's kind of like what we saw in the movie New Jack City, when Pookie had gotten off the crack, and then the next thing you see, he's regrettably sucking on that crack pipe and just like mad at himself. How hard?
It's incredibly hard, and what you have to do is you have to focus on the things that you can control, because there's so many things that you cannot control, right? So if you're in a bad relationship, if you're seeing the wrong person, you can control that by not seeing that person, right? If you're drinking too much, you can control that by not, and it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this, blithely. We're like, oh, you just get up and walk away from it. It's not like that. But you have to focus on what you can control. So if I don't want to drink tonight, what am I going to do? Because if what I do every night is I sit on the couch and I watch TV and I drink, I know if I go in tonight and sit down on the couch and turn on the TV, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to drink, right? So maybe instead of sitting on the couch, maybe I get out and go walk. Maybe I find a sport. Maybe I join the gym. Maybe I do something so that I can control what I'm doing, right?
Okay.
I have to focus on the things I can control, because I can't do anything else.
Okay. Mac, we were talking earlier, probably coming out of that crazy segment that guy does at the halfway point of the show. Mac says, ironically, Central 5 and 45 will probably be overturned 445. I'm trying to see what he's saying about that. I've heard all of them talking about the overturning. And Coach, I don't want to immerse all of this, but I do like to respond to our viewers and Mac.
Sure, of course.
What's funny? One of the Central Park 5 was released from jail, and he is now a city commissioner in New York City. I saw him on the news the other day, and he was just saying now that it's the other side. And I'll say this and I'll get off. The appeals, the Court of Appeals for New York State are 5 female African Americans. And somebody had a meme on Facebook that said, is he asking for their birth certificates?
Wow.
So, Coach, you told us at the beginning, you and Shay both told us at the beginning of the year, that it's not about goals, but it's about objectives and following up in this. Is there an evaluative process? We hit June, and I had some other shows. I said, no, I'm gonna preempt them because I want to hear from the expert so that it can help some of our viewers. We're at the midway point. Is there an assessment tool, or is there what would your suggestion be?
Are you doing the things you love more often? What did January look like? Or what were you asking for in January? What were you asking for in January? What were you looking for? Were you looking to be more active? Okay, well, we're in June. And remember, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. If you were walking 0 miles a day, January 1st, and today maybe you're only walking a mile a day, you're still a mile ahead of where you were, right? Absolutely. So it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be pie in the sky. But are you doing things more often that you love?
Okay, I love that.
Because that's what you want to be doing. You want to be putting away those things that you know are causing you shame, that you know are causing you grief, that you know are causing you pain, and doing more of the things that you love, right? And sometimes you got to get rid of friends. You got to walk away from them. Sometimes you got to walk away from family. And people say, oh, well, family, that bond, that's what, you know what? That's all well and good when your family is feeding into the good, right? Making good deposits in your emotional bank account and not making withdrawals. Because if you got a family member who's doing nothing but making withdrawals in your emotional bank account, you don't need that person until they get their act right. Okay. You want people who are like-minded. If you're trying to be a better person, you can't be, back to the drug analogy, you can't still be sleeping in the flop house, in the drug house, and trying to be clean. It's going to bring you down. So you can't be still with those toxic people, whether it's a relative, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coworker, whatever it might be, and feel like you're going to detox yourself, because it will not work.
What percentage of people that you assist could eradicate many of their problems and play big if they simply could get over the notion of trying to satisfy others or appease other people?
That I wouldn't have a job anymore.
Wow.
If folks could get over that, and honestly, that's probably one of the biggest things, is trying to appease mama, trying to make daddy proud, trying to live up to expectations that aren't yours. Most of us are trying to live up to expectations that were pushed upon us. Wow. Whether that was going to college, whether it was joining the military, whether it was buying a house, whether it was having a certain kind of car. Those images and those things were foisted, I can't even think of the word, upon us, right? And that might not even be what I'm about. So that's what we're doing with life coaching. We're going, hey, what I'm hearing is you didn't want to do that to start with. So why are you putting so much time and effort into it? Why aren't you doing more often the things that you love?
Wow. That's almost, I know it's a reality. I know what you're saying is an absolute reality, but I'm at the same time saying how sad. And of course, I've been in the past for almost nearing 50 years. I say, I understand that's a big part of the problems with people trying to satisfy others in that narrative and not getting where they want to be, because that's an impediment. But boy, is it hard. How hard is it to just say, I need to be? So the whole thing is, I see the whole thing about playing big, coach, is look out for number one. Because you can't help your wife. I can't help mine unless I'm strong. I'm looking at, or else I'm a wounded person trying to help another wounded person.
What do they tell you on the airplane? What do they tell you in that briefing on the airplane? When that mask falls down, you put yours on first.
Wow.
Why? Because if you can't breathe, you can't help nobody else, right? If you're so full of angst yourself, and if you're so traumatized, how in the world can you help someone else? But if you're getting yourself right, and a lot of times the beauty of it is when people see you getting right, they gravitate towards that. Man, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why, I see you got so much more energy. You're so much happier now. You're so much this, you're so much that. What is it you're doing? Hey, you know what? I've learned to put me first. And we used to hear that was horrible. You can't do that. That's selfish and greedy and all that. One thing I've learned too, and this is super important, and if you don't take anything else away from tonight, take this away. Other people's opinion of you does not matter. Other people's opinion of you has no basis on you whatsoever. Because so many people have so many preconceived notions, right? You have to be doing what you're doing for you. If that's what's best for me and my child, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, but they shouldn't be living in a one-bedroom apartment. They should be trying to get into a house. That's your opinion. That has nothing to do with me. I don't care what you think.
Wow.
Other people's opinion of you has no bearing on you whatsoever.
Coach, 4 years ago tonight, we were right dab in the middle of a global pandemic. That's what a pandemic is. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
It drastically changed our way of life. 4 years later, I mean, we're dealing with some instances of COVID again. But for the most part, here we are again. Coach, what would you say is surprising to the changes that we made in how we lived, or the lack of changes? I know that's a difficult question, having come out of that. Is it a case of how soon we forget? Or, you know, we probably did some healthier things back then. We were in the house, we worked out. How soon, just what is the psyche of us that we can just go back and forget the pain or the inconveniences that we incurred 4 years ago?
It's a little bit of both things, you know, because some of it was really good, right? Because
Mhm.
some things that came out of that was
Yeah.
realizing that we don't have to be busy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're now realizing that Walmart don't need to be open at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Wow.
right? Now, trust me, I love to go to Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning because ain't nobody there. I love that, but it doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What you realize is there were things that, again, that we were so preconditioned to that you had to do, absolutely had to be this way, but you suddenly look back and went, no, it doesn't. And now 4 years later, some of it's creeping back in because we're human and we're going to get back to those things probably, but the other part is, why can't we just enjoy it for what it is? Now, like my wife and I, we've been married 28 years. A lot of people, make fun of us because we're just happy being together, just me and her, right? And a lot of people are like, well, you guys are always, well, during the pandemic, we were all we had. We were in the house. She was
Mm.
working from home. I was working from home. We were happy because we were conditioned to that. That was great for us. I had friends who were losing their minds.
Wow.
If I have to be in this house with this woman for another day, I'm going to jump off the roof, right?
Wow.
So everybody took it different. It's not the same for everybody, but then maybe you realize as you went through it that maybe it's not so bad, right?
Wow.
Maybe
Wow.
it's not like that. So I think there was good and bad that came of it. I think a lot of it was that we all learned to slow down and pay attention to ourselves. That's what I think.
In the course of my work as a minister, this past weekend, um, funeral, being with families at a funeral celebration of life.
Right.
Today, I made a visitation to a dear elderly gentleman's house who was, lest the Lord prevents a miracle, he's probably about to transition. Those are not the kinds of things that we raise our hands and say we want to do. But the joy that comes from that is that my putting my arm around someone, my speaking a brief word of prayer, or giving my condolences, letting them know that my wife and I are thinking and praying with them constantly, or the comments that were made as I walked out of the door of that house today, they give you joy. What is it that fuels? What is the joy that fuels the work you do?
At the end, and a lot of times it doesn't even take the end of the 12 weeks, but just having that person being able to release all those things, right? Like usually week 8, we do a recap. And I remember this one particular young lady that I was coaching. And I said, let me read you back some of these things from week 1 that you said to me. And I started reading them back. And she's like, are you serious? What,
Wow.
I really felt that way. I really said those things. I said, well, I didn't write them myself. You were the ones that said them, and I wrote them down. And she said, I feel like a completely different person from what we've come through. And a lot of it's through introspection. You have to look at yourself. You have to be willing to admit that some of the things you're doing are toxic and you've got to stop doing them, right? You've got to, again, admit that sometimes the people you're hanging out with aren't the right people. You have to surround yourself with positive energy.
Okay.
Because, if you're not with positive people, if you're not surrounding yourself with positive energy, that's going to suck the soul, the life out of you, right? And usually when we do that 8-week check-in and we start talking about here's where you were and here's where you are, sometimes it's huge. Sometimes it's baby steps. But there's never been a time when it wasn't something. And that, to me, gives me the greatest satisfaction.
Wow. Wow. So here we are at the midway point of this year, 2024. You're saying that there should be some satisfaction that I'm no longer 500 pounds. I'm 494 pounds.
Exactly.
Celebrate that victory and let that propel me on to play big for the duration towards that where I need to be.
Right. And the thing to remember too, again, don't compare yourself. Comparison will kill you. My playing big might be jumping out of an airplane. Your playing big might be able to go to a restaurant and sit down and have dinner by yourself and not be anxious. Right? Everybody's big looks different. Everybody's joy, everybody's major step is going to be different, right? We're in Pride Month, right? So in Pride Month, there's so many folks that maybe are coming out. Maybe they're wanting to announce, they're wanting to come out as gay or lesbian or any of these things that they truly are on the inside. They want to admit that to somebody. But they're holding it in, right? Maybe that's your step. Okay. Maybe it's when everybody in your family is a fireman and you're decided that you're going to be a cop, right? Maybe it's when everybody went to college and you don't feel the need of that. Maybe you want to be an electrician, right? Everybody's playing big is going to be different. So don't judge your big against someone else's. Even your family, your husband and wife, their big can be different, totally different.
Wow. Yeah. Bill, on the Cosby Show, Cos was a doctor and she was a lawyer. So
yeah,
but that big was very effective. And I'm kind of going back over there because I've been looking at some of those. What we're doing on the show, maybe once every 4 to 6 weeks, we're looking back at an old show or something, and we're coming back and talking about it and analyzing it, 20, 30 years later. So right. I think what you just said, because everybody's big is not the same, but big is big.
It is.
I love that. What can we do to celebrate where we are at this point in the year? What are some wholesome celebrations?
Just be good to yourself.
Oh, Coach,
yeah, be good to yourself, right? Maybe with whatever it is you're doing, you can just be happy in that. Sometimes you can just sit and be happy in what you're doing. Be good to you. Take your wife out for dinner, take your husband out, go do something that you wouldn't normally do because it's cost too much or it's out of the way or it's this or that. Me and you were talking the other night about road trips, right? Get in the car and go for a drive. My poor daughter, we used to drive her crazy when she was little because this child had to have an agenda, right? She hated to get in the car and go if she didn't know exactly where she was going, A, B, C, D. And me and her mama loved to get in the car and just drive.
Wow.
We don't know where we're going to wind up, but we're going to enjoy it when we get there because we're together. And sometimes that's what you need to do. Just be happy. Just celebrate. Just be. And it'll make so much sense to you.
Mac just reminded me of Juneteenth. We're going to talk about that a little bit on next week's show. Coach, it's so hard to say goodbye to a great show, a great guest like you. I try to reserve you because I know you're busy, and you could be on with me guest hosting every week because you just bring this awesome smoke to it. I cannot say thank you enough. Hey, Karen, I cannot say thank you enough for the advice that you share with our viewers, and we just pray Godspeed over you and your family. Because it starts there, and then with your practice, I guess that's what you call it, and that many people will learn to play big because of the words that you have to share with them. And I tell you what else, seeing the joy that you and your wife have on social media, that's one of the best advertisements you can do. When you talk being good to yourself, you're with somebody that makes you happy, you make each other happy. Seeing that joy is just awesome. And guys, Coach Curtis Dean is humorous too. He's being tamed tonight because he was the preacher tonight. So, Karen, I love your post today about my dear friend, your big brother GV. Bless you, baby. Thank you so much. Coach Dean, you have any final words that you want to share with us before we get out of here tonight?
And talking about my my Facebook page, there's days I put on there some really deep things about life, and there's some days I just put stupid jokes on there, because some days you just need to laugh. Some days the stuff that's going on around you just got to laugh about it and keep on going. If anybody is interested, if you think a life coach would be a help for you, you can reach out to me at playbigcoach.com. I can talk to you about it. I'm not playbigcoach.com, playbigcoach@gmail.com. Just send me an email. We can talk about it. There's also a bunch of other coaches out there, guys. If you're a female who feels like you'd rather talk to a female, or even a guy who'd rather talk to a female, I know some amazing coaches I can put you in contact with. If you're wanting help with something that maybe is not really in my wheelhouse, trust me, I know someone who can help you. I am part of a network of thousands upon thousands of coaches, and we can get you to the place that you want to be. Thank you so much for having me on. I enjoy it every time. It's always a pleasure. And anytime you need me, I'm here for you.
Coach, I know this is not cheap to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, man. I love you immensely and appreciate you and wife and family so much. Just thank you.
Absolutely. We love you guys as well. So
thank you. So I'm so glad we got this mutual, well, he's my blood brother, but that brought us together. And so I just give him a shout out tonight to KB for this great association. God bless. Have a great week, my friend.
And you as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
All right. So in the 30 seconds or so that I have left, I'm caught up in a conundrum. And I know it's running Madam Producer crazy. I kind of have the June shows kind of figured out. But I saw a thing the other day where the cast of A Different World, and I knew they were doing this, have been going around touting HBCUs and have been going to HBCUs. But I happened to catch a TV program the other day where they were on, and that may be what we do next week. We may just look back at A Different World, but put a lot of focus. The TV program A Different World will put a lot of focus on what they're doing because it's hot and it's occurring right now. We're going to be talking to some of my classmates that celebrate. Mac and Karen we celebrate our 50th anniversary this weekend at Sandalwood High School. We're going to be bringing on some of those classmates to talk about some of that, what the reunion looked like and what some of the things we did. We're celebrating this is the 4th year of Dialogue with Dozie. It's people like you to keep it alive, and we want to say, man, this is a lot of stuff to do. You say stay in there, and we've been staying in there. And I want to tell you, we have the best production team in all of creation. And yes, it's our daughter, the LaToya Madam Producer, but it is the LaToyas and it's the Marquias and others that make it the great team that it is. And we're so glad. So we're going to get some advertising out maybe by midweek this week, so you'll know exactly what we're doing. But next week's Dialogue, 8 p.m. Oh, that means I got to be back home, right? Or in front of a camera somewhere. God bless. We love you. Thank you, Coach Dean. Hey, to my brother KV, to everybody in the camp, Dialogue with Dozie. We love you. We're out.